What's up, everyone? We're going to be going to the best WNBA player props on PrizePicks today. Now, I did want to show you the results from yesterday's picks from my exclusive Discord group, and as you guys see, we actually got 20 picks correct, which was absolutely insane. So we are on a huge hot streak, but if you want to get 20 picks right like me, win more bets and receive the best picks from some of the best bettors in the world for less than a cup of coffee, you can access the exclusive Discord and meet some of the best sport bettors in the game by joining my Patreon. Should be linked down below in the description. Once you join, you'll have complete access to the Discord and can start winning more bets today. So make sure to join my Patreon using the link in the description. And here's one of our members who just signed up and won himself $250 just yesterday, and another member who won $920 for the 6th day in a row since joining my Discord. So guys, if you want to win big money like our members, the link will be in the description, so go join the Patreon to have access to the Discord group, and I will be continuing to upload every single day on this channel the best bets and props, so make sure to subscribe so you don't miss my daily uploads. So quick shout out to Michael Garcia T9V, who said great props, love you guys. So shouts out to him, and if you do want to win a shout out in the next video, all you have to do is comment down below in this video and like it, and you can be in the running to win a shout out in the next one. Alright, so let's get straight into the first pick. And when it comes to these picks, I'm not saying to chuck all of them into a parlay and hope for the best. Pick and choose the ones that you like and the ones that work best for you. So I just did really quickly touch on this 0.5 points pick for Napheesa Collier before we get into it. You know, this one's just a gimme pick that you definitely want to use, so definitely go check that out. But getting into the first legitimate pick, we are going to be talking about none other than Rachel Banham. Now, as you all know, Rachel is a fantastic player for none other than the actual Chicago Sky, and this one is for 9.5 points, and this one actually is for less. Now, looking at Rachel Banham, we've actually seen her go on the under in 0 out of the last 5 games. Now, looking at those 5 games, we do see that, you know, on June 28th, faced off against Golden State Valkyries, had 11 points there. June 30th, faced off against LA Sparks, had 13 points. July 7th, faced off against Minnesota, had 20 points. Then 13 points against Washington Mystics on July 9th, and then lastly, most recently, faced off against Dallas Wings on July 10th and had 11 points there. So we have definitely seen, you know, Rachel Banham do a great job over the last couple of games. But now when it comes to Rachel, we do see her and Chicago Sky face off against Minnesota Lynx. Now, when we look at Minnesota Lynx, we do know, looking at both of these teams ranking-wise, we do see that Chicago Sky do actually rank 10th in the WNBA. They also rank actually 5th in the Eastern Conference as well, but, you know, they do have a record of 6 wins and 13 losses. So that's a 31.6% win percentage. They are 3-4 from home, 3-9 from away, and are currently on a 1-game winning streak. Now, looking on the other side, they face off against none other than Minnesota Lynx, who do have the #1 record in the WNBA and also the #1 spot in the Western Conference. So they have a record of 18 wins and 3 losses. That's an 85.7% win percentage, are 11-0 from home, 7-3 from away, and are currently on a 1-game win streak as well. So we definitely have seen them do a fantastic job. Now, coming into this matchup, it's definitely going to be an exciting one, but looking at Minnesota Lynx, we do see that they rank first in points allowed. So that's a big reason why we do very much like the under for this situation here. Now, obviously, when you do look at the last 5, they did most recently face off against, you know, Minnesota, and we did actually see Rachel be able to go off for 20 points. Now, we are going to definitely see those games where they beat their line or they beat their probability, and we do believe that was just one of those games. But coming into this next one, Minnesota being, you know, pretty much the best team in the WNBA, we are expecting them to make some adjustments and to change it up for this next game. So although she did have a great game against Minnesota most recently, we are expecting a very different game, a different defensive strategy from Minnesota Lynx coming into this matchup. So for that reason, we do very much like the under for this one. So Rachel Banham for 9.5 points for less, I think, is a fantastic pick. Now, getting into the next one, we're going to be talking about none other than Ariel Atkins. So Ariel Atkins, great player, as we all know. And this one is a fantastic one because we have actually seen, you know, Ariel Atkins do a fantastic job. Now, this one is actually 4 rebounds for 3.5, and this one actually is for less. Now, looking at Ariel Atkins, we actually have seen her go on the under in 2 out of the last 5 games. Now, looking at those 5 games, we do see on actually, you know, June 28th, June June 28th, that is, Golden State Valkyries they faced off against and had 5 rebounds there. June 30th, faced off against Los Angeles Sparks, actually had 2 rebounds in that matchup. Then July 7th, faced off against Minnesota, had 5 rebounds. Then July 9th, faced off against Washington, had 0 rebounds. And then July 10th, faced off against Dallas and had 4 rebounds there. So we actually have seen, Ariel Atkins do a fantastic job over some of the games, but we have also seen her go in the under in 2 out of the last 5. Now, average over the last 5 is also 3.2 as well, which is also significantly below this line as well. Now, coming into this game, it's definitely going to be an exciting one, but we do also see that, Ariel Atkins and Chicago Sky face off against Minnesota Lynx, as we've mentioned before. Now, we have already mentioned their rankings, but just to quickly remind you all again, we do know Chicago Sky do rank 10th in the WNBA, 6-13 record, and over the last 10 games, they do actually have a record of 4-6. Now, on the other side of things, Minnesota Lynx ranked number 1, but on top of that, they also have a record of 18 wins, 3 losses, and a record over the last 10 of 8-2. So definitely another interesting, sort of look at there. Now, when we also look at it, we also do see that looking at Minnesota Lynx defensively when it comes to rebounds, we actually have seen them rank really, really well because we do see Minnesota Lynx rank 7th. However, although they do rank pretty decent, it's not the best or I would say in the top 3, but they still do rank very well when it comes to restricting rebounds to the guard position. And that's a big one for us. When we look at a matchup like this, we do very much like the under due to the fact that when you look on a per position basis, we are definitely expecting, someone like Ariel Atkins to struggle, especially with Minnesota Lynx playing that defense. So for that reason, we do very much like the under for this situation here. When we look at what the bookies are saying, bookies also have our favorite for the under as well. So that works out in our favor there. So Ariel Atkins, 3.5 rebounds for less, I think is a fantastic pick. Now, getting into the next one, we're actually going to be talking about none other than actually Alana Smith. So, as you all know, Alana Smith, great player. Now, this is from the same game. Now, there is only 2 games for today, but, a lot of the games, there will be some overlap with the picks, and we are just trying to get you guys the best picks possible. And this one's for Alana Smith for 8.5 points, and this one actually is for less. Now, looking at Alana Smith, we actually have seen her go in the under in 3 out of the last 5 games. And they do face off, as we all know, against Chicago Sky. But looking at Alana, we have seen her on July 4th face off against Washington, had 10 points there. Then July 6th faced off against Golden State Valkyries, had 5 points in that matchup. Then July 7th faced off against Chicago, had 4 points. Then July 10th faced off against Phoenix, actually had 2 points there. And then July 11th faced off against LA Sparks and had 15 points in that matchup. So we definitely have seen Alana Smith do a fantastic job at times, but we've also seen her go on the under more, as she has gone on the under in 3 out of the last 5. Now, our average over the last 5 is also 7.2, which is significantly below this line. Now, looking at the matchup, we do know it's Minnesota versus Chicago Sky. Now, not meaning to talk about the rankings again, we will just get straight into defensively where Chicago Sky rank. And we actually do know that Chicago Sky, when it comes to their ranking, they do actually rank 11th. However, when we look at a per position basis, we do actually see that Chicago Sky do a fantastic job at restricting points to the actual, forward position. So, they actually do a fantastic job there, and we are definitely expecting for someone like Alana Smith to go, on the under for that situation. Now, when we look at some of their past matchups, we actually have seen them face off against each other on July 7th, and we actually did see Alana Smith only have 4 points in that matchup, so she definitely did struggle. So we are expecting a similar outcome coming into this game, no doubt about it. So for that reason, definitely keep an eye out for the under for this one. And when it comes to Alana Smith, when you look at what the bookies are saying, bookies also have her favored for the under as well. So Alana Smith, 8.5 points for less, I think is a fantastic pick. So as you all know, I do want to get these picks out to you as soon as possible, but PrizePicks is delayed with some of their lines. So here are a couple of players you should definitely watch out for when their lines drop. So the first player we're going to be talking about is none other than Elizabeth Williams. As you all know, Elizabeth Williams is a great player for none other than Chicago Sky, and she has done a fantastic job so far this season because we've actually seen her average 8.1 points, 4.4 rebounds, 1.5 assists, and also 0.7 steals. So she definitely has done a fantastic job there. Now, when we look at someone like Elizabeth Williams, we do know that she does play for Chicago Sky. And Chicago Sky do have themselves a very, very interesting matchup as they face off against Minnesota Lynx. Now, looking at where both of these teams do rank, it's definitely been, both sides of the coin, because we do see that Chicago Sky do actually rank 10th in the WNBA. Now, not only that, but they do also rank 5th in the Eastern Conference, having a record of 6 wins and 13 losses. That's a 31.6% win percentage. They are 3-4 from home, 3-9 from away, and are currently on a 1-game winning streak. Now, looking on the other side of things, we do know that they face off against Minnesota Lynx. The Minnesota Lynx are on the other side of the table because they are in the Western Conference. But not only that, but Minnesota Lynx do rank first when it comes to, the WNBA. So they rank first in the whole of WNBA, first in the Western Conference. They have a record of 18 wins and 3 losses, an 85.7% win percentage. They are 11-0 at home, 7-3 from away, and are currently on a 1-game win streak. So it's definitely been lights out for Minnesota Lynx. They've been on an absolute roll, and now they do face off against Chicago Sky. And looking, at Elizabeth Williams, who does play for Sky, looking defensively at Minnesota Lynx, we do see they rank first when it comes to points allowed, second when it comes to assists allowed, and when it comes to rebounds allowed, they do rank a little bit worse as they rank 7th. So looking at this matchup, we do actually like the over for this situation for someone like Elizabeth Williams, but strictly just for the actual, rebounding category. Now, the big reason being is that Minnesota Lynx do a better job when it comes to restricting points and assists, so we are purposely staying away from that. Minnesota Lynx, however, do not only just rank poorly when it comes to restricting rebounds, as I've mentioned, they do rank 7th, but on top of that, when we actually look further, we also do see that Minnesota Lynx actually do a very poor job at restricting rebounds to the center position, which is what Elizabeth Williams is. So we are definitely expecting someone like Elizabeth to be able to take advantage of this and go on the over there. She's definitely had some big rebounding games, and her usage rate has continued and remained very high. Her consistency has definitely been there over the last couple of games, and we have seen her take a little bit more of a bigger role in the rebounding department over the last couple of matchups. So we definitely see that continuing on into this next game. Now, looking at her last 5, matchups, we do see on the 28th of last month, faced off against Golden State Valkyries, actually had an 83-78 loss. Now, she actually had 1.5 rebounds and 2 assists there. Then faced off against the LA Sparks, having a 92-85 victory with 12 points, 9 rebounds, and 1 assist. Then faced off against Minnesota Lynx with an 80-75 loss with 12 points, 7 rebounds, and 2 assists there. After that, faced off on the 9th against Washington Mystics, had an 81-79 loss with 20 points, 7 rebounds, and 1 assist there. After that, against Dallas Wings on the 10th, actually had an 87-76 victory with 8 points, 5 rebounds, and 6 assists there. So we definitely have seen Elizabeth Williams do a fantastic job at times. Now, when we look at, Elizabeth Williams, we also do see, and we have seen that when it comes to, her last 5 matchups, she actually did most recently face off against Minnesota Lynx. Yes, they did lose, but we actually did see her go over on her line in all actual 3 categories. So that was an interesting one there. But as I've mentioned, we are focusing a little bit more on rebounds. Against Minnesota Lynx, we did see her, really beat her line and actually get 7 rebounds. So, we are definitely expecting the over for this situation. When you actually look at her last 5 games, she's actually gone on the over compared to her averages in rebounds in all 5 of those games. So we are expecting that streak to continue on into this next matchup, no doubt about it. So Elizabeth Williams, keep an eye out for her line and specifically rebounds. If the line is under her averages, then definitely look to go on the over. Now, getting into the next player, we're going to be talking about Jewell Loyd. So Jewell Loyd from the Las Vegas Aces, great player. Now, she's done a fantastic job actually averaging 10.9 points, 4.3 rebounds, 2.2 assists, and also 0.9 steals. So we definitely have seen her do a fantastic job. Now, looking at this matchup, we do actually see that when it comes to the Aces, they do have themselves a very, very big matchup against Golden State Valkyries. Now, looking at where both of these teams do land, we do see that the Aces do come in at the 9th spot in the WNBA. They also rank 5th in the Western Conference, but they have a record of actually 9 wins and 11 losses. So that's a 45% win percentage. They're currently 5-4 from home, 4-7 from away, and are currently on a 2-game losing streak as well. Now, looking at the other side of things, we do see they face off against Golden State Valkyries. Now, Valkyries are doing a little bit better. They do come in at the 6th spot in the WNBA and also rank 4th in the Western Conference. So, are in the same conference as well. And Valkyries do have a record of 10 wins and 9 losses, a 52.6% win percentage. And on top of that, we also do see that they have a record of 7-3 at home and then 3-6 from away. Now, they are also on a 1-game win streak as well, but looking at Jewell Loyd and also the Las Vegas Aces and their matchup against Valkyries, looking at the defensive, capability of Valkyries, we see them ranked 2nd in points allowed. They also rank 6th when it comes to assists allowed, and then rebounds allowed. They do actually rank 8th. So a little bit of an interesting one there. They do rank high in points, but they do rank a little bit lower in rebounds and assists. Now, when it comes to someone like Jewell Loyd, we do actually like the under for this situation here, but strictly just for points. Now, a big reason for this is due to the fact that when we look at Golden State Valkyries, not only do they do a fantastic job at restricting points in general, but they also do a fantastic job at restricting points to, actually Jewell Loyd's position. So we definitely see that taken into consideration coming into this game. Now, when it comes to Loyd, she doesn't also have the highest usage rate when it comes to scoring wise for this Aces team, and we are expecting the other players in this actual roster to take a little bit more of the usage rate away from Jewell Loyd, as Golden State Valkyries do a great job at restricting points. So we are expecting much more of those star players to take a lot more of the usage rate away from her, since it is being, I would say, taken away from the Golden State Valkyries due to their great defensive prowess. Now, looking at Jewell Loyd over the last 5 games, we do see on the 30th of last month, faced off against Phoenix Mercury, actually had an 84-81 win with 10 points, 0 rebounds, and 1 assist there. Then faced off against Indiana Fever with an 81-54 loss, had 2 points, 4 rebounds, and 2 assists in that matchup. Then faced off against Connecticut Sun, had an 86-68 victory with 3 points, 6 rebounds, and 2 assists. And then faced off against New York Liberty, had an 87-78 loss with 10 points, 3 rebounds, and 2 assists there. After that, faced off against Washington Mystics recently, had 20 points, 3 rebounds, and 1 assist in that matchup. So we actually have seen Jewell Loyd do a fantastic job. Now, when it actually comes to Jewell Loyd, what we do also see is that when it comes to, her actual, last 5 games, we also have seen her usage rate in the points department sometimes do very well, other times have done really poorly. And it's that unpredictableness on why we still do like the under for this one. Coming into a matchup against a tough defensive team in points in Golden State Valkyries, we definitely see that affecting very much Jewell in this matchup, no doubt about it. So keep an eye out for her line. I see a lot of value there to go on the under, but like I always mention, you got to keep an eye out for the line first. If the line is too close to our averages, then definitely look to go on the under. Now, getting into the next player, we're going to be talking about Alana Smith. So, Alana Smith from Minnesota Lynx. Now, she's done a great job this season, averaging 9.9 points, 5.5 rebounds, 2.7 assists, and 1 steal. So she's definitely done a great job there. Now, looking at the Minnesota Lynx and their matchup, we do know that they face off against Chicago Sky. And looking at Chicago Sky, just to quickly reiterate, first starting off with the Lynx, they rank number 1 in the actual WNBA in Western Conference, 18-3, record so far. But over the last 10 games, they also have a record of 8-2. Then looking at Chicago Sky are in the Eastern Conference and they rank majorly worse compared to Lynx. But, looking at Chicago ranking 10th in WNBA, 6-13 with their win and loss ratio. But on top of that, they also, over the last 10 games, have a record of 4-6. So you'll see Sky ranking 10th in the WNBA, 6-13 with their win and loss record. And then also over the last 10 games, actually have a record of 4-6. So it's definitely been a little bit of a tough, season for Chicago Sky so far, and Minnesota Lynx unfortunately are looking to take advantage of this very, very poor team. Now, looking at Chicago Sky defensively, we actually do see that they rank 11th in points allowed. They also rank when it comes to assists allowed, they rank actually 9th. And then rebounds allowed, they do rank a little bit better as they rank 6th. So we actually do see some pretty interesting things there. When we look at Alana Smith, we have, definitely seen her play some pretty big games. And coming into this next one, we do very much like the over for this situation here. Now, when we look at Chicago Sky, they have fallen quite a bit when it comes to their ranking as well. They did a little bit better defensively, but it's definitely fallen off a cliff as of lately, and we are expecting a pretty decent game from Alana Smith there. Now, looking at the last 5 games, you see against Washington Mystics, actually had a matchup on the 4th, had a 92-75 victory with 10 points, 4 rebounds, and 4 assists. Then on the 6th, faced off against Golden State Valkyries, had an 82-71 victory with 5 points, 5 rebounds, and 6 assists there. Then faced off on the 7th against Chicago Sky, had an 80-75 victory with 4 points, 2 rebounds, and 1 assist. Then against Phoenix Mercury on the 10th, at a 79-71 loss with 2 points, 9 rebounds, and 1 assist. And then faced off against, LA Sparks with a 91-82 win with 15 points, 5 rebounds, and 0 assists there. So it's definitely been pretty interesting for Alana Smith. It's definitely been a little bit unpredictable when it comes to, some of her matchups in a sense of her stat line. And yes, when you look at Chicago Sky in that matchup there, we have actually seen her only had 4 points, 2 rebounds, and 1 assist. So she didn't actually perform too well in that matchup. However, we are expecting, that coming into this next one, they do very much are expecting her to really bounce back and be able to go on the over in this one. She definitely really struggled in that last Sky matchup, so we should see things change, no doubt about it, coming into this next one, for sure. So for that reason, definitely keep an eye out for someone like Alana Smith coming into this matchup. Since she didn't really do too well in the last Chicago game against them, we are expecting the line to come out very much lower, and that's why we do see a lot of value to actually go on the over. So keep an eye out for the line. If the line is under our averages, then definitely look to go on the over there. Now, getting to the next player, we're going to be talking about Janelle Salaun. Now, as you all know, Janelle Salaun is a great player for Golden State Valkyries. Now, she's done a fantastic job, averaging 8.9 points, 5 rebounds, 1.1 assists, and 0.4 steals. So we definitely have seen her do a great job there. And looking at the Golden State Valkyries, we do know that they have a great matchup against the Las Vegas Aces. Now, looking at this matchup more in depth, Aces do have a record of 9 wins and 11 losses. We do know that they rank 9th in the WNBA, and over the last 10 games actually have a record of 4 wins and 6 losses. They face off against Golden State Valkyries, have a record of 10 wins and 9 losses, a actual last 10 record as well of 6-4. Now, looking at this matchup, it's definitely going to be an exciting one, but we do also see defensively that Las Vegas Aces do actually rank 9th when it comes to points allowed, 10th when it comes to assists allowed, and then when it comes to rebounds allowed, they also do rank 10th as well. So we have actually seen Janelle actually go, pretty well in some easier matchups, and coming into this next one, we are definitely expecting the over for this situation here if she does get that good amount of minutes that we are expecting. Now, when it comes to Janelle's usage rate, it's definitely been, very, I would say, unpredictable, and a big reason for that is sometimes her minutes have been a little bit on the shorter side, while other games she's definitely getting 25, even 30 plus minutes per game. So, I definitely think that may be, a bit of a thing you want to keep an eye out for. But coming into this next matchup, and if we are expecting the same or similar minutes as we usually do see, we should definitely see Janelle go on the over in this one. Now, looking at the last 5 matchups that she did play against, one of them was actually against the Las Vegas Aces, which is interesting to see. Now, in that matchup, we actually saw her have, 4 points, 2 rebounds, and 0 assists, but also did only have 21 minutes of game time. Then faced off against the LA Sparks on the 10th, had a 89-81 OT victory with 21 points, 8 rebounds, and 1 assist. So, in that matchup, she did get 39 minutes, and it's definitely very evident that, the more minutes that she does get out there, the more usage rate she can definitely provide for this team. Then looking on after that, we do also see against Minnesota Lynx, had an 82-71 loss. She only played 9 minutes that matchup, 0 points, 1 rebound, 0 assists, and faced off against Indiana where she had only 4 minutes with zeros across the board at a 90-81 loss. Then faced off against Indiana with an 80-61 victory with 25 minutes of game time, had 4 points, 7 rebounds, and 1 assist there. So coming into this next one, especially against a team like Chicago Sky, we do actually like the over for this situation here, no doubt about it. So I definitely would keep an eye out for that. You know, is one of those that's just kind of a no-brainer to us due to the situations. And when you look at, you know, her actual line, I think points and rebounds is definitely where you may want to focus on a little bit more. As I, you know, mentioned in the past, when it comes to this, you know, picks are really decided off usage rate, and they don't have that high of a usage rate in certain departments. Like Janelle, who doesn't really have the highest usage rate in assists, you may not actually see a line come out for her in that category. So just keep an eye out for it. In general, I see a lot of value there to go on the over, but like I always mentioned, if the line is under averages, then definitely look to go on the over.